Okay, thank you. So hello to everybody. Probably it's afternoon for most of you. For us, it's in the morning. So my name is Marco Buletti, and it's a pleasure for us having the opportunity to present to you this amendment proposal of Ghana and Switzerland for an amendment of the Basel Convention. I will guide you through this presentation together with Sam Adukumi from Ghana. Unfortunately, at the moment, he has some technical problems to join our webinar, but he will jump in as soon as this technical problems could be resolved. So I'm retired. I was working for the Federal Office for the Environment. Since 1 year now, I'm consultant. I was hired again by the Federal Office for the Environment of Switzerland. So I'm speaking on behalf of Switzerland. We will go through this session, and at the end, we will have a question and answers block where I invite you to put forward your questions. I would be happy to answer them. Before I start, I would also like to thank the Secretariat of the Basel Convention for their great support in organizing this webinar. I would also like you to inform you that this is a series of webinars that we are doing. We already had 2 for the African region in French and English in July. Now, today, we are making 3 webinars for the Asia-Pacific region, for the CEE region, and for GRULAG. And we plan to have a further session of such a webinar, maybe January, February, sometime like this for the VIII countries. So all UN regions will have a special webinar for them. Now, let's try if it works going through this presentation. Yes, it works. Slowly or shortly, what I will present to you. First, I would like to present you the submission in short, talk a little bit about the e-waste situation today, then some details to the amendment proposals, the summary, the goals and the benefits, and then also a few slides about open challenges and things we would like to clarify in front of the discussions. And then we'll go to the next steps. So at the moment, doesn't work to go to the next slide. Yes. If you want to have a look at the proposal with the explanations, here are the contacts, either by internet or with a QR code. The QR code is working. If you have an iPhone, you have to take a special app for QR codes. With others, obviously, it goes directly. There you will also find the first comments that we received, and we would like to thank all parties and stakeholders that have sent in comments. This is very helpful for us for further refining our proposal and to get the feeling where questions are and where clarification is needed. Let's have a short look at the proposal in short as a scheme. On the left side, you see the situation today. We have 2 entries for e-waste in the Basel Convention, one for hazardous and one for non-hazardous e-waste. It's on this side here. The situation is that for hazardous e-waste, you have the PIC procedure that is applied, and of course, then TBMs are controlled. In addition, the ban amendment applies. On the other side, non-hazardous e-waste, today they are listed on list B, which means there's no PIC procedure, TBMs are not controlled, there's no monitoring or any transparency about transboundary movements. On the right side, you see our amendment proposal. For hazardous waste, everything will remain the same. The PIC procedures, TBMs controlled, and the ban amendment applies. Now, our proposal is looking that, or is proposing that non-hazardous e-waste would be listed on Annex II of the Basel Convention, which would have the consequence that the PIC procedure would be applied, TBMs would then be controlled, and we would get monitoring and transparency about these movements. In words, shortly, how do we want to do this? We would add a new entry on Annex II, a new entry Y49 for VIII, its components and constituents that are not characterized as hazardous. Because we have two entries on Annex B of the Basel Convention for e-waste, we would propose to delete these two entries because these two entries both will now be captured by the new entry Y49. And at the end, we would leave the entry in List A of the Basel Convention on Annex A for VIII characterized as hazardous, but we would slightly reword it to make it exactly as a mirror entry as the new proposed in entry Y49. So the proposal, in short, introduces a mandatory PIC procedure for transboundary movements of all waste, electrical and electronic
equipment. Yes, I'm the meeting now.
Ah, excellent. Sam, we are on slide 5. You see it? And I can move them.
Yes, go ahead.
I move them. We are going now to slide 6, and I would hand over to you so you can introduce yourself, and I will pick up later in the presentation, if that's okay for you.
So just my name. Yes, sorry. Good morning. It's early morning in Accra here, and sorry for the technical problems, but my name is Sam Edukumi from the Ghana Environmental Protection Agency under the Ministry of Environment, and I'm the Basel focal person. And I'm glad that this our amendment with proposal with Switzerland is happening today. So we are all invited. Thank you for joining. So Marco, please.
Should I continue, or do you want to pick up from slide 7?
Slide 7.
Yes.
Which is that one, the problem?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So if I may talk about it, as we can see from the screen, e-waste is managed, managed and treated in an ESM leads to, just a moment. Let me go. What moment? Sorry, I'm working for the house and my children are worrying me. But if I may go on, I was trying to say that the e-waste, which is managed and treated in an ESM, leads to recovery of variable materials, and this recovery of the waste is sensible and ecologically worthwhile. Unfortunately, this is not the case worldwide. Whether we classify them as hazardous or not, if not treated with state-of-art technology, really can harm human health and burden our environment. Example, burning the waste or the acid leaching of the printed circuit boards. So the UN Global E-Waste Monitor actually has published this year estimates that only around 18% of the what we call the waste electronic and electrical equipment generated worldwide is collected and treated in an ESM. So the fate of more than 80% of the generated e-waste is really undocumented. And also another finding of this report is that available recycling capacity is not really keeping pace with the global growth of the e-waste. And this leads to the conclusion that huge masses of e-waste are really not managed in an ESM that's not directed to state-of-the-art technology. So this is valid for domestically treated e-waste, but also for the waste electronic and electrical equipment which are moved transboundary. So the global e-waste monitor, you can have the link. We have quoted, I think, the reference which you can find over there. So moving on to the slide number 8, I guess. Yes, talking about impact of unsound e-waste treatment. We can say that, I mean, the environment is actually, burdened with unsound treatment of e-waste. You can have e-waste in the air, water, and soil through open burning, acid leaching, and uncontrolled dumping. And then this leads to loss of resources. The human health impact actually resulting from inhalation of incineration residues and ashes are really a problem. So they are absorbed, heavy metal like lead are absorbed in the bodies and actually affect our organs, which are very important for our well-being. And there are also accidents due to the unprotected workers. Many workers work without PPEs and therefore unprotected. So for developing countries such as Ghana, we have huge challenges because we can't control our imports of e-waste. And even when we get them, our countries are vulnerable, and therefore we have treatment challenges. So we don't have such structures, and therefore the environmental burden on human health is really a challenge. Can we go to the next slide, please? So, Marco, you can stop me when you want to come in, but we can have the facts and figures as we see from there. Marco, you want to take this one up? Hello, Marco.
Okay, I
Yes.
can do so. Yes. Do you hear
All
me?
right.
Yes, I have to unmute first.
Yes.
So if we take a look at the figures, in 2019, about 50 million metric tons of waste electrical and electronic equipment were produced. And the estimation is saying that we are going up to more than 70 million metric tons in 2030. We have a huge growing rate of 3 to 5%, which shows us that e-waste is one of the fastest growing waste streams. When it comes to transboundary movements of e-waste, the situation is quite difficult to have good and reliable data. We are further working on it. But in the global monitor on e-waste, we have first indication. So the estimation is that around 7 to 20% of the yearly produced e-waste is moved transboundary. This would be around 4 to 10 million metric tons. And it's not clear if they are moved transboundary as second-hand products or as e-waste, because you don't have clear, reliable data distinguishing between both. So there's an urgency for ESM of all waste, electrical and electronic equipment, and this becomes more and more immediate. Another important issue is if you look at the values of e-waste. So the estimation, again, 2019 from the Global E-Waste Monitor is estimated to be around $57 billion in 1 year. So that's the intrinsic value of e-waste. So without the state-of-art recovery, huge amounts of values and resources are lost yearly. So what we would like is to address ESM of all e-waste. We are heading for the following. Transboundary movements of all e-waste, its components and constituents must be directed to environmentally sound management, to recycling with state-of-the-art technology in an environmentally sound manner, and a maximum of resource recovery. This means applying the PIC procedure to all waste electrical and electronic equipment is a prerequisite for the assurance of the ESM of all such categories of waste. So the proposal wants to introduce a mandatory PIC procedure for TBMs for all categories of e-waste. If we look at the benefits of the amendment proposal, the idea that we will get transparency and monitoring of all these TBMs. We would like to protect vulnerable countries from unwanted imports, since with the PIC procedure, they will be better informed and can react. Of course, a better protection of the environment and human health. Would also like to ensure state-of-the-art recovery, a sustainability of the whole recycling chain and system, and it would be thus a contribution to circular economy. Much more materials would remain in the production cycle, and it would avoid the loss of huge amounts of valuable resources, be this natural or financial. Would like to ensure the environmentally sound management, and less e-waste should enter the environment due to open landfills and improper disposal. So natural resources would be preserved. Let's go to look a little bit more in detail. This small repetition, we already saw it a little bit. We have the situation today that only we classified or characterized as hazardous under the convention is under the PIC procedure controlled, and the ban amendment applies. And this is the proposed new classification. On the left side, you still see the situation today. On the right side, the proposal in green. So the VIII not classified as hazardous would be listed in Annex II as a new entry. The PIC procedure applies, TBMs are controlled, and we have a monitoring and transparency. Annex II is specially built for this because it's called categories of wastes requiring special consideration. And that's the idea in the background. It is important to know in the whole context that by a COP decision, the mandate of the existing expert working group on the review of annexes was extended to also review the e-waste entries B1110 in Annex 9 for non-hazardous e-waste, as well as entry A1180 in Annex 8 of the convention for the e-waste characterized as hazardous. This shows us that the parties came to the conclusion that there are still some uncertainties when distinguishing between hazardous and non-hazardous e-waste. So and they are currently working on it. They will meet again in January, as far as I know, and dedicate a full session only on these wordings. What we did until now is that we picked up the wording of this expert working group just to look at where they are and to be consistent with them. And our idea is to further look about their work. Our intention is pick up this wording then, and the only difference would then be that because they are discussing about the hazardous classification and the non-hazardous classification, and our idea is to have then the non-hazardous e-waste classified not anymore in list B of the convention, but to move them to Annex II, but with the same or similar wording. This will depend on the further deliberations that this expert working group is doing. I do not intend to go through the exact wording of the proposed entry. This would be too difficult. It's quite complicated. But what you see here is how it is worked out. And what you also will see, what we intend is to do exactly 2 mirror entries. So one entry on Annex II and the other mirror entry in Annex VIII of the convention. This is the wording or the result of the discussions of the expert working group so far, a little bit reworded because there were still a lot of brackets in their ideas. But in principle, you see how it is done. You would have the waste electrical and electronic equipment without constituents to an extent that it exhibits Annex III characteristics, and not containing or contaminated with Annex I constituents to an extent that the waste exhibits Annex III characteristics. And then you also have the wording, of course, which is picking up the components of electrical and electronic equipment. And we take again the same wording, not containing or contaminated with Annex I constituents to an extent that the waste would exhibit Annex III characteristics. This would then be the entry on Annex VIII of the Basel Convention. Here, I don't have to move through it. I just underlined exactly the same wordings as we have in the mirror entry for Y49, but it's then only the difference that they would contain hazardous components that exhibit an Annex III characteristics, or they would have a component that is exhibiting such hazardous characteristics. As a consequence of this proposal, of course, we would delete the existing 2 entries concerning e-waste on Annex 9. So this would be B1110. And then the strange entry that we have on B4030. These were the URR, the used single-use cameras with batteries not included on list A. There are different reasons to delete this entry. First is, of course, a consistency that everything would be on Annex II in the new Y49. And the other thing that these used single-use cameras with doesn't exist more or less anymore on the market. So there's anyway no sense to still hold this entry. So let's go to a short summary of the benefits and implication of classifying non-hazardous e-waste and its components and constituents on Annex II of the Basel Convention. We would have, as already said, a PIC procedure for all VE and its components and constituents. And with a listing of this VE and its components and constituents not classified as hazardous on Annex II of the Basel Convention, there would not be no further discussion whether a planned transboundary movement of e-waste and its components and constituents, be they classified as hazardous or non-hazardous, they must be notified or not. The PIC procedure would then apply to all of them. So this discussion would not arise anymore. You have to notify. Then with the classification of non-hazardous e-waste on Annex II, tracking and monitoring of TBMs would be possible. And this would give us data, and we would have the overview what's really going on our world, in our world. Of course, a big goal is ensuring ESM of all VE. The formalization and monitoring will assist all countries to better ensure the ESM of these waste and develop the necessary and adequate treatment recycling capacities and ensure protection of human health and the environment from e-waste burdens, of course, including regional solutions. We would also like to ensure a more valuable recovery. Applying the required state-of-the-art technologies would ensure a clearly higher recovery rate of the intrinsic value of E and its components and constituents. An important point is also the informal sector. The PIC procedure will allow countries to better assist and integrate their informal sector and ensure better protection of human health and the environment from the WEE burdens that we have today. And with the classification of non-hazardous WEE and the introduction of the PIC procedure, the situation for importers and exporters will be much clearer. This will contribute to legal clarity and enforcement will be facilitated, which will contribute to the reduction of illegal trade. Then concerning the ban amendment and national or regional import bans, with this new proposed classification, the ban amendment of the Basel Convention for hazardous WEE and its components will still apply. In addition, national or regional import bans for hazardous e-waste, such as, for instance, the Basel Convention, will, of course, also still apply. Exports of non-hazardous WEE to countries that have not banned the import would still be possible, but would have to follow the PIC procedure. But there are still some open challenges in the WEE work of the Basel Convention, which of course we do not deny, not at all. I have listed here together with
something to say about last slide. Or we will make the discussion later after presentation.
We will have the discussion later, but for me it's not a problem if you still have a short question.
Maybe we can move on. We can talk about it later together.
Okay.
Move on. Please move on.
Thank you. So there are still some open challenges that we face in the Basel Convention, this whole e-waste discussion, and I think it's clear to all. It's the waste non-waste discussion. It's the finalization and final adoption of the e-waste guideline of the Basel Convention, which is only adopted ad interim at the moment. And what we also know, the PIC procedure often is looked at as a big burden. The implementation is difficult and so on. And there also, we know that further discussions must go on concerning the PIC procedure. But in this context, we would like to say that the proposal of Ghana and Switzerland is a contribution to the resolution of this whole e-waste discussion, and we look at it as a stepwise approach. What is important to know, and I have tried to clarify some points that were raised during the discussions of this proposal, and if I look at comments that we have received. So there are a few points which I would like to clearly clarify and state. So it is important to know that the proposal itself has nothing to do with the discussion for differing between whether something is a waste or not a waste. The definition for making the distinction is laid down in Article 2 of the Convention itself. So there's no connection with it. It's clear that the Basel Convention has a definition. It must also be clearly stated that with the amendment proposal, nothing changes whether a specific e-waste is characterized as hazardous or non-hazardous. The definition whether something is characterized as hazardous is laid down in the convention itself. Again, it's in Article 1 of the Basel Convention. And third point, there are discussions ongoing about the PIC procedure. It's often looked at being cumbrous or badly implemented. Here, I would also like to clearly state that our amendment proposal has nothing to do with the PIC process or the implementation of the PIC procedure. The PIC procedure is the same for each individual waste stream. So if we would like to have improvements there, this must be handled in the overall context and for all waste streams. So the purpose of our amendment proposal is really solely making all transboundary movements of WEEE subject to notification, and the PIC procedure will be applied. And this regardless with whether something is classified as hazardous or not hazardous. So finally, what are our next steps? What we are doing is continuing to disseminate and explain our amendment proposal. I already announced you that we plan to make further webinars next year or directly contact regions or parties and stakeholders to discuss further with them. The next one will be a webinar for the WEOG countries. We are still collecting comments. There is a round of comments that ended starting December. We are now looking at these comments and trying to make the interpretation. We are, of course, seeking support and trying to broaden the support. And finally, the goal is that we will have further discussions and the possible adoption of the amendment proposal at the face-to-face segments of the COP15 of the Basel Convention, which currently is planned to take place in, I think, June 2022. So thank you very much listening to us, and thank you that we had the opportunity to present this to you. In this last slide, you see the contact persons. On one side, you have Sam from the EPA in Ghana, and the other side, you have the Swiss Federal Office for the Environment with 3 contact persons that you may contact if you need personal clarifications and if you would like to get in contact with you. So thank you very much, and I'm giving back to Sam to guide us through to the discussion and question and answers. Thank you. Sam, please.
Thank you so much, Marco, for the good presentation. And once again, sorry that I could not join in early to really share the affairs. But now we have some time for questions and clarifications, as Marco indicated. So the Secretariat will help us to locate the questions and also from the chat box. So is that Joanne? Hello, is that Joanne?
Sam, this is Dan. Can you hear me?
Oh, Dan, yes. So,
yeah.
Yes. So can you help us to locate the questions?
So currently there are no raised hands. So we invite all participants who wish to take the floor to raise their hand. They can find the hand icon located to the right-hand side of their name in the list of participants. And they can also send a chat message, which I can, they can either send to everyone, and I can, if it's sent to the Secretariat, then I will share it with you.
Okay, thank you.
We have a hand from Lucy from
yes.
CBC GDF.
Lucy.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hi. First of all, thank you for your introduction and your presentation. I'm Lucy Ma from China Biodiversity Conservation and Green Development Foundation. And I'm really interested in this conference about the e-waste, the PIC of e-waste. Actually, I noticed that there's a word in the presentation, back to maybe slide number 2, the unwanted, I guess there is a word that very interesting.
On slide 2.
Slide 2,
yes.
Please.
The unwanted waste. So what are the unwanted waste? Who wants
I see.
The
I
waste?
see your point. I see the point. Maybe Sam, you can start, and I can jump in later.
I don't see the point there. Which one actually?
Back.
It was slide 2, you said.
Back. I guess, let me see.
This is slide 2. So I don't see any
slide 2.
Somewhere.
I noted the words unwanted.
Yeah, maybe I know why I use this word. Yes, it's true. Unwanted, to explain what we mean with him, is that in certain countries, and I think let's take examples in the African region, e-waste is exported from industrial countries, let's say, and they are then imported to this regions or countries in Africa. Unwanted means that the regions or countries, they're absolutely not aware that such e-waste is entering through their borders in their countries, and then is posing problems through lacking infrastructures, and that they can't handle with this e-waste. So these are imports that these countries don't want. They are unwanted imports. If there would be a notification procedure, the countries would be aware something is coming to our country or is planned to come to other countries. And what they could do is then either prohibit the import, because they would say, well, we are in the situation that we can't handle with this e-waste. Or it could also be, yes, we have the infrastructure, the facility that is mentioned in the notification is a good facility, it's environmentally sound management, state of the art, and so they would consent to the import. So I hope I could explain. Unwanted means that something is entering a country without that the country is aware of it, and before the background that a country may not want such imports because they simply can't handle with it. So that's the meaning how we use the word unwanted.
I'm sorry, sir.
Okay.
I'm afraid I cannot agree with you. You mentioned that you think these wastes are infrastructure from entering from other countries. I don't agree with that, because we are talking about e-waste, not infrastructure, right? So I think it's contradiction to your there's a contradiction in your explanation. So I just cannot accept it. By the way, you mentioned the wastes are, if they are from the infrastructure, those wastes are from the infrastructure. So I think people can have a sound management of that waste, or because now when people do the infrastructure work in Africa, people will think about how they will recycle those materials, or maybe they will produce some waste. So I do not agree with you that these wastes are from the infrastructure. We are now talking about e-waste, so that's my opinion. So
okay.
that's I cannot accept your explanation about the unwanted e-waste. So
Lucy, can I also maybe add my voice to the explanation?
Sure.
Yes, if you look at the slide, it says protects vulnerable countries from unwanted imports. So the word unwanted is attached to imports. So, and the underlying word you also hear, the vulnerable countries. So take Ghana, for instance. Currently, we don't see actually all the waste coming from outside, because not all of them go through the notification system or the PIC procedure. So those which go through the PIC, my institute, which is the focal institution for Ghana, has the privilege of checking because of the PIC procedure, we're able to check. But there are other waste which do not go through the PIC. And therefore, we are not even aware that such wastes are coming because they don't go through. And permit me to say, many of such things are unwanted by us because we are really not aware that they are even coming in the first place, and they become problematic for us when they come because we don't see them. So the unwanted is in that respect, that the things that we do not want, we see them because we don't have the privilege of really checking them, to the PIC procedures. So that word there, unwanted, is in that context. That, for example, Ghana, there are certain things we see in our country which naturally we would not like to have them, but because currently they don't go to the PIC procedure, the government or the state institution do not even see them. We see them outside there when they are already imported. So if we have the amendment and we pass or push all the imports through the PIC procedure, we have the privilege to determine that this one we want, this one we don't want. So that's the unwanted explanation from my angle. Yes, thank you.
Okay, Dr. Sam, may I know what kind of waste does your country want? You mean that maybe you will pick from those wastes that exported to your country? So, what kind of waste will choose from? With your country will choose from, right?
For example, now if you look at even the television, sets, the old ones, most of us don't use them again, right? And the flat screens are the ones that are being used. These are all electronic or electrical waste. And you find them also coming in. Naturally, we will not allow them because when they come, we don't need them. But before you realize they are there, because...
So what kind of waste are you needed? Or
I'm
maybe
talking e-waste.
E-waste, yes. I think that there must be a motivation behind the as it's the import of your country. When some countries export some waste to your countries, so you mentioned that there are some wanted waste in your country. So I wonder what do you want? What can you accept? What can you accept?
It is, I think, a language issue. The word want and unwanted is, language here. Yes. I don't have the list with me now, but definitely, as a country, we have a policy of what we want and what we don't want. Yes, I don't have the list before me, but we can, get the list out there, at another time. But I'm saying that the language is English, want and unwant. So the one, yes, the one we, have, as a country take a put that.
So you're willing to accept. You're willing to accept.
Yes.
So what kind?
Yes. Not all ways are that we are willing to accept. So the ones we are not willing to accept can be called unwanted, sort of. So it's the language. Yes. So if you,
I know, maybe I can change the word I wanted into the waste that your country are willing to accept. Maybe up to, yes.
Well, I don't think these are even language of the convention, but we can look at the convention text and then look at the language that will best suit. Yes, because definitely, as Marco mentioned, there are issues of definitions. Yes, even used versus unused. Yes, these are definitions that we need to deal with, but we are not going to those definitions. But the wording must also be in line with the language of the convention. Yes.
I think we understood your point. The thing that must be clearly stated is that we are talking if something is a waste, and I think it should be the sovereign right of every country to decide if they are able to treat this e-waste or if they are not able. And the PIC procedure and the notification will exactly help them. They can decide, yes, that's an e-waste that we can treat in our country, or they can decide, oh, we don't have the technology to treat this e-waste that is notified, so we don't want it. So they would prohibit the import. So that's the only thing. But I have the feeling it's mainly the wording issue, want and not want. In German, it would also work. I think it also works in English. I don't know about other languages, but I think in the point we are on the same level and same ideas that you have presented. And I think Sam explains very well the situation of Ghana.
Okay, so
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Sam, I
Yes.
have another question. So, do you agree with on the values that this imported waste that can provide to provide? Do you agree on all these values of this waste that enter your country?
I don't get a question well, Lucy.
So, given that you have mentioned those e-waste has caused so many harms to the human health and
yes.
the environment, right? And
yes.
then in the PP slides, maybe the speaker also mentioned the value of those waste.
Yes,
so
yes.
what are you trying to convey to the audience or convey to us? So I think it's contradiction.
No, Lucy, I think we are trying to talk about the circular economy also here. The waste has value. That is why you don't want to throw them away. But when you want to, I mean, recycle or work on them, you go to countries that have the capacity to do so. Most of our countries in the developing world, Ghana in Africa, we don't have state-of-the-art recycling facilities, which will really help remove or get the value of the waste out of it. So it means that if you push them to us, they become unwanted, sort of.
Well, I think it's not pushed to your country. It's not pushed because we have PIC, right?
Yes, but not all of them go to the PIC. So if I want it, if Ghana thinks that we want to get the value of the waste, then we must put in place state-of-the-art technologies. And then we can now say that bring the imports to Ghana. But until we have them, they don't have to come. Okay? Because when they come to us, they will just be left there untreated. Okay? So for now, countries that have the capacity to treat them, it's of value, so they should get them. But those of us who don't have the capacity now, we don't need them now. So let us know what is coming to us so that we can tell that this one we have capacity, so we don't have. Because the waste must be treated in an ESM. Okay. So, for example, let me tell you, Ghana, now we have a law which is also on Basel Convention, I mean, e-waste, or on adoption of the Basel Convention to the national, I mean, legislation. And we are encouraging, I mean, setups to really treat the waste. So if we are able to get such companies who have the capacity, then we can allow those waste to come into it through the PIC. That is why this amendment is so important, so that we encourage recycling or sort of art recycling whilst we know what is coming, so that the circular economy will be achieved by all. Lucy, I think you know where I'm coming from.
Thank you, thank you. I
Yes.
think you just now mentioned the circular economy, and your country want to encourage those first of all to circular economy, right? And you need the first of all technology that help that may help treat those e-waste, right?
Yes, yes.
Maybe other countries can provide those technology support to Ghana, and I think except.
So when I think Lucy is going out, I mean, technical problems. So when at the point in time when we have those facilities and the amendment has gone through, it will be of our advantage so that we can still know what is coming in through the notification and the PIC process. I think, Marco, I mean, you agree with me, or you want to talk, speak more to it?
No, absolutely. I think the answer is clear. I also understood the question. I think that the important thing to hold is that the PIC procedure will allow each individual country to decide, yes, we consent to this import, or no, we don't want this e-waste here, we prohibit the import. I think that's the only important thing, to see that governments will have a sovereign right and they can decide what is the best for my country.
Yes, thank you. So, Lucy, are you back? I don't know whether you're okay. Otherwise, Dan, are there any hands there?
Okay, I think. Okay.
Lucy's back.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to continue, Lucy, with your question?
Yeah. In the previous slides, the speaker also mentioned the tracking. So how people will put the tracking into practice? So what will be tracked? So maybe about where those e-waste come from, or how this waste will be treated. So what does it mean, the tracking of those e-waste?
Okay,
let me elaborate on it.
Yeah, let me attempt so that Marcos will come in. So as you say, the word track means that to follow or to monitor. That means that if we have the notification system in place and waste, for example, coming from China to Ghana, through the PIC system, we will know when the waste is leaving the territories of China, where it's passing through, and when do we expect in Ghana? And when it comes to Ghana, where is it going after having gone to the custom system? Is it going to the capital or going to some other place in the country? So you'll be able to follow through this system, which is also, I mean, a good thing, because, I mean, nothing will get lost, or nobody can really take it to an undesired destination. We're able to know the quantities coming in at a point in time, and then, I mean, where it's going. Marco, please.
I think you gave the good answer. The only thing that I can add when preparing this amendment proposal, and now during the phase of commenting and discussing it, if you go to literature, or if you try to find out how many e-waste is moved transboundary, it's a huge problem. So tracking means that we want to become data. What amount of e-waste is leaving which country and where is it going? Today, you have huge difficulties to find this out. So the tracking is not meant to go to the individual person that has produced an e-waste or something like this. It's really meaning that we apply the PIC procedure. One country is notifying to the other, we intend to bring this and this amount of this kind of e-waste to your country. And then the country can decide yes or no. If he says yes, he will exactly know the amount. He will know, as Sam said, where is it passing through which transit countries, for instance, and approximately when will it enter our boundaries and where will it go in my country, to which facility. So that's the only thing that tracking implies. It's the PIC procedure, no additional other data or something like this. It's just only knowing what is coming from where and is going where.
Okay.
So are there...
another thing is that, Sam, I wonder which country is the largest source, or maybe the largest export, I guess, about the e-waste. Who is...
Lucy, your line is breaking.
Okay, I think I wonder maybe which region or which country exported the largest amount of e-waste to your country, according to the statistics?
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. I think for now, most of the e-waste is coming from Europe, and also in I think the US. No, not US, because US they are not part of the convention. So most of our waste is coming from the EU. I mean, I think it's literature. You can check it. For the west coast of Africa, most of the e-waste is from I think the EU. I think that's documented. Yes.
Well, if you go to the Global E-Waste Monitor, and you have the citation of the literature in one of the slides, and the slides will be sent to you. There you will find more details about movements of e-waste from which region to what region is it going. You will find a lot of data about the production of e-waste and so on. So there is a little bit more available. But as Sam said, it seems that huge amounts are coming from the European regions to Africa now. There are certainly also other flows, but it's really difficult to have then all the detailed data. But the most reliable data you will find in this UNU Global E-Waste Monitor report.
Okay. So those official data or statistics. Okay, now I think I got the last question. So how about if we have designed a model that maybe when we product or manufacture those products, we will think about using some recycling materials into these products so that we can reduce those waste. So before they can become a headache, or before they will cause the harm to the environment and human health. So that's just my suggestion. So, and also maybe we can do something on the design of the products, or on the manufacturing, in the choosing the material. We will become more environmentally friendly, use those environmentally friendly materials, and become more, take more social responsibility and environmental responsibility for those manufacturers, I think.
Yes, thank you so much, Lucy. I think you are on track. I mean, that's on point. These days, we're talking about green and sustainable chemistry and the green economy, making sure even the climate issues. Yes. So we are looking for, I mean, products and articles and all the materials that are of beneficial, first of all, to our health and environment, which are also, I mean, have less harmful effect as well. So that's where the world is heading towards. So if we can move quicker to innovation and technology, we'll get there soon, and then we'll have these benefits. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so, you're welcome. And I think maybe we can establish some recycling points using the first above technologies, and maybe you can use the intensive treatment with those e-waste, given that those waste has entered your country, or we have to address this environmental problem.
Yes, we are still looking for people that know how and state of art technology to establish these things so that we can really treat or recycle the materials in an ESM. Okay, thank you so much. Any other hands there, Dan, or anything in the chat box? Yes, I can see Dave. Is it David? And then Jane. So David first. Please unmute yourself and talk.
Sorry, I was on double mute. Thank you for the reminder. Yes, good morning, good afternoon. Yeah. This is David Ceruti. So I'm part of Cisco Systems, member of the ITI Association that participates into the Basel Convention as an observer to many meetings and events. I have a clarifying question regarding the PIC procedure. If your amendment, if your proposal is accepted, I expect there's going to be an increase in the volume of the PIC requests. So I'm wondering if you have done any tests to verify that, for instance, Ghana, just to mention a country, has the capability to process the increase in volume of the PIC requests coming on. So any feasibility test that has been done, any scalability concern that when the volume is going to increase, the countries have the capability to process this in a timely fashion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Marco, will you want to start?
Yes, maybe I can give a first answer from my part, and Sam, you can add to it. What is clear that if all e-waste is put under the PIC procedure, there will be more notifications. I think that's absolutely clear to us. And what is also clear to us that the PIC procedure, as the PIC procedure stands in the Basel Convention, if there is the infrastructure of countries to deal with it, it works quite nicely. The other thing is, what I also experience is that in some countries there are really deficits in treating with these notifications, and there are big delays and can be very burdensome. And I think this is a problem that is absolutely acknowledged. And there are two ways, of course, and this has in principle nothing to do with the proposal itself, because the PIC procedure is valid for every waste stream. So I experienced such notification problems, for instance, with used pesticides and so on, which is another waste stream than e-waste. And the only solution that we can do are some tracks. First is certainly, and this is, I think, absolutely already recognized by the parties, there must be an improvement of this PIC procedure. I can't tell you in which way a smoothening is needed, but certainly digitalization will assist there. But the other, and I think that it's much more the important point, is there is a big request that countries lacking the capacity must get better assistance and training in dealing with this notifications and PIC procedure. And that's something that maybe the Basel Convention can add something to it, but I'm certain that this discussion will raise already at the next COP. And let's hope that we will find ways to really improve the situation, because the idea of the PIC procedure is not to limit good transboundary and needed transboundary of movements. The idea is not to limit these movements. The idea is to direct to environmentally sound management. And on the other side, yes, we need an improvement of this PIC procedure so that this loops really, or the cycles really can be closed. And there may be, Sam, you have more experience from your part. What problems directly arise in your country with dealing with notifications, but we know that there's a lack and that we need assistance and improvements of this PIC procedure. So this problem is absolutely acknowledged from my side. Sam, please.
Yes, thank you so much, Marco and David. Thank you so much. I think you are on point. Definitely, there's going to be increased capacity of the PIC notifications, which we acknowledge. But as also explained by Marco, this is also a win-win situation, a win for human health and a win for the environment, as our proposal seeks to achieve. So trade actually shouldn't be a barrier to such a good proposal. So what it means that the Conference of the Parties will have to encourage countries, especially developing countries, who seek to benefit from this kind of proposal, to build a national capacities, institutional capacity in terms of the focal institutions which will have the capacity to really do the notifications. I must say that I mean, for now, it's a big challenge for countries in the notification system. I mean, the countries are still building the capacity for national focal institutions to do so. But that notwithstanding, we believe that will even, push or assist countries more to look at the capacity, because it's in our interest, as we've already alluded. So definitely, yes, there'll be increase in the notification systems, but on the onset, the challenges will be seen. But with time, we believe that, and with the support of the convention and other bilateral and other, interests, we will be able to, get over this thing. Thank you so much. David, are you okay with that? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Let me ask a follow-up question and then make a very quick comment. The follow-up question is there any improvement plan to stop bad actors? What I mean is, okay, if your proposal is accepted and the PIC procedure becomes required for all the waste streams, still, how are you going to stop bad actors that maybe they are shipping containers claiming, hey, this is wood inside, and maybe they put in the front of the container just a layer of wood, and then on the back they put a lot of electronics instead. So PIC procedure is not going to stop that, because the shipment is going to be wood. So is there any additional action that your country, or in general COP countries, are planning to take to enforce the monitoring? Because you see, otherwise, and this is the comment, the concern is that the good actors are going to have an increased administrative step and paperwork for the PIC procedure, but the bad actors are not going to stop anyway, because they will still, ship outside of the PIC procedure, even if you are extending the scope to all waste, electronic waste. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, David. You are really on point again. The bad actors are everywhere, and they are always scheming ways and means of getting things done, because they think that the PIC procedure is slow. Countries are not really, up to a task, and that they want to push things through. But of course, things are changing even in our countries because of, maybe the innovative ideas, and also what they call it, state-of-art technologies, and also even the world now becoming a global village, so that even tracking devices can be what they call it, put into containers. And I can assure you, in Ghana, for example, our customs are really building capacities, and they are up to the task. So we will encourage our countries, and we will have to let COP also, perhaps at the meeting, encourage countries or parties to really, put in measures to track some of these things. And I believe that maybe as we say, every day for thief man, but one day for the master. So you may have your way through, maybe most of the times, but one day you be caught, and you have to pay a huge penalty, which will cost you, and maybe you have to even, stop the whole of the activity. So it's a fine point, but I think with time we're able to become that. Marco, please.
Thank you. Only very short. Of course, what I can answer nationally, I could say you that we are making concrete actions in Switzerland from time to time, really coordinated with our neighbor lands to control directly at the border, to get a hold on such bad actors. When it comes to international work on it, maybe somebody of the secretariats can inform us better what is really going on the international level there. I'm not aware. I only have some things about the Interpol that I would know, but maybe somebody of the secretariat can add. And the last thing that I would like to say, the advantage, at least for the proposal, is that you will have a clear situation. If somebody is caught at the border, and today he would say, well, this is not hazardous e-waste, so I don't have to notify it or whatever, and long discussions and judgments will go their own. With the amendment proposal, the situation from the legal point of view would be clear. It is e-waste. There was a PIC procedure that you had to follow, so you're guilty, and then they really can follow him. There's no discussion, was it hazardous or not? Does it fall under the Basel Convention or not? So that would be also one stone in the whole wall that we have to build here. But maybe there are still other questions, but I don't know if Juliette from the Secretariat or somebody else could add to international actions that are done for looking at these bad actors. So I'm giving back to you, Sam, and Juliette maybe, or somebody else from the Secretariat can intervene. And I see that there are still other questions that are.
Yeah, I think Juliette is in the meeting.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, Juliette.
Yes, thank you. I don't want to take away from the of course, your audience, which is primarily concerned. But yes, there's a range of work that's done under the convention that has been done over the years to prevent and combat illegal traffic. As you all know, this is the focus area of the of parties, and we also have a partnership, Enforce, that is specifically dealing with this. We have work under the Compliance Committee of the Basel Convention with a range of recommendations coming for COP15 consideration. We have technical assistance activities, and we work hand in hand with Interpol, WCO, UNODC, and another range of international enforcement actors to help us and help parties with that. So yes, there's a lot of effort, but certainly, there's never enough, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Juliette. And also, maybe final one. I mean, in Africa, for example, the Bamako Convention is really also gearing up to really take our target this matter of illegal trafficking. So it's a matter of concern as well. So thank you, David. And we have Jean on the line. Jean, it's your turn. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm a student from Wuhan University, and my question is about the convergence with this amendment to other international agreements that it have potential norm conflicts. For example, in WTO rules, does it have the risk of a breach to other obligations of free trade? And that's the exceptions, such as the general exception in the Article 20 of the WTO rules. Does it work? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jean. Marco, did you get a question?
I hope so. I hope so. From my point of view, no, there's no implication, because the Basel Convention is dealing with waste. And the proposal that we are doing here is just saying that if something is a waste, and if it is an e-waste and it is not characterized as hazardous, the PIC procedure applies. So this wouldn't be an implication with other reglementation. If we look at the mixed plastics, that at the last COP we decided also to put them on Annex II of the Basel Convention. Also there are not a direct implication in other international, let's say, laws or conventions or regulations, because the Basel Convention is dealing on waste, and it has the right to expand the waste that is controlled. That's what I can say from my point of view here. Again, I don't know if Sam you can add, or if Juliette, again, sorry, Juliette, would be able to add more to this question.
Okay, let's hear from Juliette. Juliette?
Yes, thank you, Sam, Marco. Well, what we can say is that there is already other categories of waste that are on Annex II. So there are precedents of non-hazardous waste, meaning waste requiring special consideration of being listed under the Basel Convention. So this proposal to have this new Y49 entry does not depart from the current structure, understanding, operations of the Basel Convention conceptually. So it's an addition of a new waste stream in Annex II, but it comes in addition to household waste and some plastic waste that require special consideration. So I hope this helps in clarifying that it's not fundamentally something different from what parties have already done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Juliet. I think fundamentally, I mean, we are talking about waste that needs to go through environmental sound management, ESM. No, we are not talking about, say, banning those wastes entirely or whatever, putting measures to, I mean, resist them from being going to trade. We're talking about countries' capacity to really undertake ESM of the waste and having opportunities for countries also to know what's coming in through the PIC system or notification system. So I think it's all well goes for trade, yes, as well. So I mean, it doesn't really conflict with any of the WTO or whatever. Thank you so much. Jen, are you okay, or you want to add some questions?
Yes, I'm okay. I'm okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much as well. I'm not seeing any other hand. And Dan, please help me if there are any questions in the chat box.
We received a question in the chat from Lydia, whom I believe is from the Ministry of Land and Water and Environment in Eritrea. And her question is, what best disposal method is practiced for disposing e-waste when recycling is not viable due to high financial cost?
Okay, thank you. I think it's quite technical. Let's see if Marco can try.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. The question has nothing to do directly with our amendment proposal, but it's a very good question, very interesting question. I think there the answer is very difficult. Often, yes, it is so that recycling can be, I'll say, liaised with high costs, and then you are thinking about a final disposal method. So there are two issues. The first one is, this is often the case, that the recycling costs can be quite high. The answer is, if I speak nationally in Switzerland, we have different waste streams where we had to introduce so-called advanced disposal fees because there's not enough money for the recycling obligations or for the disposal obligations. And so this means through another policy, you collect money to bear the costs of the recycling or disposal activity. But this is a national action and is specified to certain waste streams. The other thing is then very, very technical. What is the best disposal method if you can't recycle it in your country because you be it lack of money, be it lack of technology or whatever? And there again, it's a difficult situation. Are you in the situation that you have good, how you say, for instance, physical chemical treatment possibilities to neutralize something? Or are you in the position that you have state-of-the-art incineration possibilities or whatever? I think there's not a possible, answer valid for every country and every region and every waste stream. It really depends strongly on the situation that you are in. And best probably would be if there are so concrete problems to either contact and direct other governments or maybe the Basel Convention, if the Basel Convention could assist in guiding somebody to people that have possibilities and answers to this question. But it's a very, very individual situation or question depending on your national situation. And there again, probably the question is also dedicated to nationally produced waste, So this exactly brings us back to the situation that if you already have problem with your domestic waste, you certainly do not wish to have additionally imported waste. So that is also showing us the situation that there are countries and regions that already have enough work still in front of them to solve the national waste problem instead of having additional waste being brought to this country. So that's all that I can say from my side. Maybe Sam, you can add to it.
Yes, thank you so much, Marco. I think I would like to thank the one who asked that question. That is a very important question. You know, that's the reason why we actually need these PIC procedures for all the waste. Because for now, there are many of the e-waste that are difficult to recycle or even dispose of in an ESM. So knowing that, I mean, people, some companies or whatever want to push them onto us, for example, in the developed countries, as a way of getting rid of them, so to speak. So the challenge is that the definition of what is used or what is, not in good use. I mean, we have challenge with that. So, but to avoid even our regions or our country becoming dumping grounds for some of these difficult to recycle or to dispose of waste, we say that the capacity is not here. We can't do this one in ESM. So please, let us have the opportunity to accept them or refuse them. So let's go through the PIC notification system. I think that ties into it, perfectly. The challenge is that people are finding high costs to recycle, but we don't have any facilities. So why do we push them to us? So please, let us accept it or not, or refuse it. Thank you so much. I think that's a question which is really a good one to dilate on it this one as well. Okay, I think we are challenged with time, or do you have much time? It's already 8:35 here in Ghana. I think 9:35 in Switzerland. So is it not time to end the meeting? Dan?
Indeed, Sam, we have just slightly past the allocated time for this session.
Okay. So if there are no other hands there or any other chat questions in the chat box, you can help me.
So there are currently no hands, and no more questions have come up in the chat box.
Okay, I think then it's a good time for us to end the meeting. So Marco, any concluding remarks from your end?
Only thanks to all participants. Thanks for all the questions that were posted. This really helps us to further work on our amendment proposal. And the last thank is again to the Secretariat. It's really excellent the support that we receive from the Secretariat for organizing such webinars. So I would say goodbye from Switzerland. And have a nice evening, probably, to a lot of participants from the Asian region. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So let me also add my voice to thank our friends and colleagues from the Asia Pacific region. It's lovely to have you and that kind of engagement today. I think there's more time for us to continue with that engagement through a bilateral emailing or through some conversation. But definitely, we want to encourage you also to consider the Ghana-Switzerland proposal in detail, and then perhaps give your consideration to it. So, Secretariat, thank you once again. I believe today is going to be a hard time for you because we have 2 more presentations in course of the day. So, thank you and bye for now. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Michael.
Bye. Yes. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.